let's gab.
All right. Well, welcome. I went ahead and started the recording. Welcome, Sam, to be my big number on my artist spotlight for the Zoom series. I love you, and I'm so happy that I get to show you off to everyone today.
Thank you. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for asking me to be part of this. I've watched a couple of these, and they're always so good. So it's just a pleasure to be part of it.
Well, it's just fun. It's like a little slumber party every time I get together with all my buddies and we get to talk drumming. And I've always been interested since I met you. Gosh, probably 2 or 3 years ago at NAMM, maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
I've always been interested in kind of your story. How did you come to drumming and all that? So we get to put that out for everybody to hear today.
For sure. And I know it's probably misleading. I've got this lovely collection of guitars behind me, but they're not mine. But
okay.
The Wi-Fi is so spotty, both places where I have drums. So unfortunately, it's really hard for me to do this there. But yes, I play drums. Don't worry.
I'm not worried. I know that you do. Okay, well, let's just hop right in. Why don't you tell us, how did you come to choosing drums as your instrument?
Mm-hmm. Well, I wish it was as simple as, wow, I heard this one record and I was listening to the drummer, it was amazing. And it wasn't like that for me, unfortunately. So I was in 5th grade, I guess. And I knew I wanted to join band class, like concert band at school the next year. And I played piano already, classical piano. And so we went to like the parent teacher kind of interview thing to figure out what instruments can your child learn, how much will it cost? And it pretty much came down to me saying, what's the hardest instrument to learn out of the instruments that you have in the band? They didn't have piano, of course, because it wasn't the right kind of band. They didn't offer guitar. I was interested in guitar, but they didn't offer it because it was a concert band. So yeah, they said French horn or drums probably out of our limited selection. And they had a drum kit at school, which was rare in our district for them to have a full kit, not just a snare and a bass drum. So yeah, that was exciting that I didn't need to have my own gear. And that was a big deciding factor where it was actually probably the cheapest instrument to play in the band because they had a drum kit at school. So they said, you just need a pair of sticks and a practice pad and this beginner drum book and the rest you're good. And it was like, great, sounds great. You know, as long as you don't ask for drums, you know, we're not getting you your own drum kit. You play the ones at school. I was like, yes, no problem. Yes, no problem. Right. So that's basically how I knew I wanted to learn a new instrument. I mean, I don't think I'm trying to remember because I took one drum lesson from my piano teacher who also happened to be a drum teacher. And he said, well, I can give you a drum lesson. You can let me know if you like it. And he gave me a drum lesson basically on a practice pad. And at the time and Dorothea is going to get very mad at me. I was like, this is boring. He's going to show me some rudiments, how to hold the sticks. I know it's bad. You know, I'm like 11 years old and I was like, I don't want to do that. And I just wasn't interested. But I joined it in band. I had a drum kit. I was like, this is loud and exciting and whatever. And how much I now wish I had learned my rudiments back then and practiced on my pad back then. But I was a non-disciplined child when it comes to practicing my instrument.
You know, it's so hard though, because a drum set is so flashy and cool. And then when and you're thinking that in your mind, and then somebody hands you a practice pad and sticks and you're like, wait, this is not at all what I thought I was going to be doing.
Yeah. The practice pad needs better PR. It does. And I hope it's getting better PR these days because yes, I was definitely under that impression. The drum is loud, flashy, exciting, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, and you're a kid and you're like, I want to do something crazy. And I have all this energy.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Okay. So when did it kind of click with you? I know that you were playing in school, but when did it become like, not just, okay, I'm going to be doing this at school, but I want to this is the thing that I love. This is what I'm passionate about.
And I also wish that for that, I had one clear point and it was really a gradual thing. I remember that at some point, maybe 11th or 12th grade in school where I was like, and it's funny because I now know I love playing live and I love doing tours and things like that, but I'm not like a recording session player. But I remember in high school, the end of high school, I was like, yeah, I want to be like a recording drummer and, you know, I want to do albums and learn how to play in the studio and all this stuff. And I was not because I was not very disciplined. And even though I was passionate about performing, I don't think I was as passionate about maybe drums at the time. It was that, to me, the exciting thing at the time was more than just playing my instrument, because I loved playing with people. And so it was like, I want to be in a band. So I know I've been in bands since I was like 14 or 15 years old. I just wanted to play gigs. I wanted to play live. I loved the performance element, the energy and all of that. For me, that is what excited me about drumming. And so, I mean, I was playing it in school in band, and I went to high school and I was playing in the concert band, and then I joined the jazz band, and I was in a youth orchestra playing percussion. And because I played piano, I was usually the only one who could play mallet percussion. So I was playing the marimba and the xylophone and the bells and the chimes and all the mallet stuff as well. So I was doing that. I was playing in the school musicals. We did The Whiz, which has a really fun drum part.
Yeah.
We did a couple of other, school musicals. I was playing in bands. We were playing at our, gigs at our local community centers to other teenagers. And it was really like a kind of everything, just little pieces here and there. And then I always knew I needed some sort of, backup plan, because drums weren't always the only thing I was interested in. I was interested in art. I was interested in theater and acting. I've been into writing my whole life. And now I'm a writer and a drummer. So I could do those two things, but it was really like a kind of culmination of everything, and just a very gradual discovery, I think.
That's fantastic. I love those kinds of stories. Yeah. Okay. So after high school, did you immediately get into a band and you started touring, or what happened there? Did you go to college?
Yeah. So I remember deciding, do I go to music school or do I do something else? And it was tricky for me, because I knew I loved music, but I loved other stuff. And I thought, all right, I'm always trying to be mentally prepared, and I'm thinking years ahead. I still do. I'm always thinking years ahead. I'm like, okay, if I do this, can those things fit into place? And so at the time, I had a couple friends that were a year or two older than me. They were in music school, and those were the people who actually convinced me not to do it. Not because they didn't like it or didn't think it was useful, but because based on knowing me and all of my passions, I had so many things I liked. They said, you know what, like, you're already playing music. You want to play in bands. You're not, it doesn't seem like you're drumming to be like the drum, like just a standalone drummer. It's that, your thing is you're performing, you're touring, you're already doing that stuff. So like, do you really need the school to do that? So I went to university for geography.
Okay.
So it's more of a kind of like an environmental program. So it's not, whatever. So I have a geography degree. But, and I auditioned for the school concert band at my university, the jazz band at my university. My sight reading was not good enough. So I got a call back, but I didn't get in because of my sight reading, unfortunately. But yeah, I was still playing in bands. The touring started because, oh man, this must have been a couple years after I finished high school. The band I was in at the time, there was another band that asked to take us on tour. We just did like Western Canada. It wasn't anything big or whatever, but that was my first tour. And I was like, this is amazing. I get to play shows every night. What is this? It's so cool. Yeah. So again, just a bit of a gradual thing. Yeah. I
love that. So now you have a band, you're in a band.
I have 3 bands.
You are, okay. Why don't you talk to us about that?
Sure. Well, I'll talk first about the one that I've had the longest. So that one's called Asylum. It's based in Vancouver. So that's where I'm from. I moved to Montreal 3.5 years ago. So basically we would meet up to tour, and that's kind of it. That one's like my heaviest band. That's like a death metal, thrash metal kind of band. I have a band in Toronto called the Anti-Queens, and that's kind of like I don't know, I don't want to say it's punk rock. It's upbeat rock band, et cetera, et cetera. I haven't had a chance to tour with that band yet because I joined right before the pandemic happened. So we've only played 2 shows together, but we've been writing an album for the past year. And then I'm in a band called Conquer Divide, and that band is based in Michigan. And that's been going really, really well. We've done a couple music videos together, and there will be lots of touring for that band, probably mostly in the US, but also I think in Europe, as soon as all the restrictions lift. And that one's kind of, it's like a mainstream rock. It used to be like a metal core band, but it's pretty mainstream now, but it's catchy stuff, really catchy stuff.
Awesome. So you were talking about writing an album. Are you, I know that you're a writer, but do you write music as well?
I don't write anything melodic for the bands that I'm in. I mean, Dead Asylum, I've written some riffs, but it's like I'll write it on piano. Like I'll write a guitar melody on piano. I'll say, okay, can you just on guitar or whatever? But yeah, I was writing some songs actually on my own. I was going to start like an online remote kind of project with some other people. But I got too busy. I joined 2 other bands and it was just too much. Yeah. But I mean, I love writing melodies. I like writing songs. Actually, my boyfriend and I were just for fun writing some music together, just other genres and programming beats.
Yeah. So do you write lyrics because you're a writer? Do you also do that?
Oh man, I did write lyrics for that project that I was starting. But I used to write lyrics all the time when I was a kid because I was just writing all the time. I was writing songs on piano too, but I was writing because I wrote a lot of poetry. So I wrote a lot of lyrics and stories and all that, but I haven't written any lyrics for any of my current bands.
Okay. Okay. So what do you think is like I know everybody wants to go on tour. That's the big thing that everybody wants to do if you're a drummer and you want to, and I love to be on stage. I think you get so much energy back from the audience. That's so much of a fun feeling. What is the downside to touring?
I mean, being away from your friends and family, that's definitely a thing. Being away from your pets, being away from, your comfort of your own bed, being away from, you might not even be playing your own gear. So you might miss your drums at home and wish you had those. So I think that's the big thing. And then it depends on what you do outside of touring. Like if you're a full-time drummer and you've made yourself a flexible kind of schedule, maybe you're a teacher or something like that, where you've got students when you come back, then that's fine. But if you don't have that kind of schedule, or you have contracts that maybe don't come back because you've been away too much, or you have another kind of job where you've got limited travel time, I mean, it puts a lot of stress on a musician, I think, when you have to think about balancing your personal life, balancing your work and your touring. And it just depends. And if you are a full-time touring musician and you're touring months and months out of the year, I mean, it's a whole different lifestyle you have to be comfortable with. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I know that as a touring musician, most touring drummers are endorsing drummers, like they endorse certain products. So I know that you have some endorsements as well. Do you want to talk about those companies?
Sure. Everyone should buy these, from these companies. But anyway. So I work with Mapex, Sabian, and Los Cabos drumsticks. And I'm still, well, let's see. When did I start working with? The first one was Los Cabos. I've been with them for a couple of years, then Sabian, and then Mapex. So I'm still, I mean, some people have been with their companies for years and years and years. Just in the last couple of years have I really been a lot more active as a drummer. So kind of made more sense. But they're all awesome. They've been great, really great to me. All the reps are amazing. I love the products, obviously. I'm just excited to see what else we get to do. I know that Mapex, we've talked about maybe like doing some clinics and things like that, but obviously pandemic makes that very difficult. Right. So we'll see when things get back to normal.
My dog has, she's been kind of sick. So I laid her in my bed, but if she hears anything, she goes nuts. She's 5 pounds. So but she thinks she's a guard dog. Yeah. Anyway, sorry about that. I probably should put her out here in a minute. Okay. Do you guys have some questions for Sam while we're taking a little hiatus here? Anybody? Yeah, go ahead, Danny.
So I have a couple of questions. The first, you said you have 3 bands which are hundreds of kilometers apart. How do you manage this? I mean, do you rehearse with them or just go on tour? How do you do this?
That's a good question. I get asked that question a lot, and for good reason. So usually it's that you meet up for tours. Yeah. So it's basically, I'm practicing on my own. We meet up shortly before the tour. We might have like a week or something to all get together and really make sure that we're all tight. We figure out the live show, and then we would go on tour. So, and I realized that I could do that a couple of years ago. I got called last minute to fill in for a tour, and I had a week basically before I had to leave for a month. And I had to learn the songs. And so I'd never met them before. And it was just like a whole new world for me. So I'm glad I took that opportunity, because it showed me, okay, if you do the work and you can do it on your own, and you know you're a professional about it, and you do your homework, and you know, it's stressful though. It's very stressful if you get together and your first time playing together is like the gig. It's really stressful. So with these bands, it's basically, we meet up, we have at least a couple of rehearsals so we can get rid of some of the, you know, uncertainties. We clear up a couple things for like transitions between songs, things like that. But yeah, it's basically just communicating a lot remotely and sending stuff back and forth. But yeah, it's pretty much just, it's just me and my drum kit here in Montreal, and I don't have any bands close to me. So yeah.
How did they find you?
So the band in Vancouver, that was my local band because I lived there. The Toronto band was a recommendation from a friend, a mutual friend. Found out they were looking for a drummer and recommended me. Oh, I just ripped out my headphone. And then the band in Michigan. So when they were putting that band together, like 7 years ago, something like that, they had found me on MySpace. Back when MySpace was back when MySpace was still a thing, and they found me on MySpace. And I mean, I didn't really have a lot up there, so I don't know how they knew like if I was good enough, or anyway. So we were in a lot of contact at that point, but then it just didn't work out for me. I mean, I really take responsibility for that, because I was busy. I think I was new to the workforce. Like I just finished school and I had a new full-time job, and I really wasn't practicing very much, and I just didn't have time to write and all this stuff, and it just didn't work out there. And they're like, you know, we got to find somebody else who can do it. So it didn't work out, and they got a different drummer who's fantastic. And then, you know, she left, and a couple of other, you know, they had a bit of like a hiatus. And then when they were, you know, getting back together to release some new stuff, it was like, hey, you know, you've been busy. Clearly you've been really focusing on the drumming stuff. Like, we need a drummer. Like, are you still interested? I was like, yes, because in that band, you know, they accomplished some awesome things in that time as well. And that was even more exciting. And yeah, so they just reached out to me again. Yeah.
I love that. Great. Fantastic. So what is I know that you're kind of a rocker chick, right? So you like to play rock, but is that your favorite thing when you sit down and play? Is that your favorite type of music?
It's always metal. Yeah, that's pretty much. I am a metal drummer. So I'm in 2 of the 3 bands I'm in are not the usual kind of like the extreme stuff that I would normally play. Even the stuff I play isn't like super like in the metal world, it's not considered super extreme, but to people who are out of that world, it would be. But yeah, I mean, I'm a groovy drummer though. Like for me, it's like, you know, I'm not like a technical death metal player who's just doing blast beats all the time. I love groove and like double bass patterns and things like that. So when I sit down to play or practice, or if I'm learning songs, it's pretty much always metal. I'm trying to think, there's been a couple times where someone has asked to do like a collaboration where it's something else. But I mean, I'm definitely like a rock, you know, like a type of drummer. When I was in jazz band, I was not very good. I don't think I was meant to be a jazz drummer. And I mean, there's a lot of amazing fusion drummers out there. I would love to learn some stuff like that. It'd be really cool, you know, like you know, Anna Canals and Kaz Rodriguez,
Sarah. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's just so cool. It's like the grooves and like the accents. I love the accents that fusion drummers do. So, but no, I'm a heavy hitting drummer.
So who have been your metal influences?
They've changed a lot over the years. I think that the ones that stuck with me the most are the ones that I really looked up to. I'd say like end of high school, because that's really when I was getting more into the heavier stuff, and I really found my footing in that genre. But so Chris Adler, who used to be the drummer for Lamb of God, was a big was for me. Again, like very groovy, heavy stuff, but really tasty, and relatively straightforward. Mike Portnoy was my favorite drummer for a long time. Trying to think. Well, Martin Lopez used to be the drummer of Opeth, and he put Latin drumming with metal drumming, and I thought that was just nice. Cool. Like really, I'd never heard anything like that. So, and then I feel like I'm probably missing somebody important. I mean, there's so many drummers that I've looked up to over the years that have influenced me, but I'd say those are some of the top ones.
That's fantastic. Have you had any, as an adult, have you gone back and had lessons with anybody specific that you were like, I really need to learn what you know?
I'd really like to start doing regular lessons with one person. I'm really bad at that. I'm so easily distracted where I'm like, I want to do one thing with this person, one thing, and that's fine,
Yeah, sure.
That's very much been my that's my style. So like I took a lesson with Flo Mounier from Cryptopsy. I took a lesson from Alex Rodinger. I took 2 lessons from Eugene Ryabchenko. I mean, these are all metal guys, metal drummers. But I think, I really just I'd like to just stick with one and really just go with that. But it's because I was really trying to work on a couple of very specific technical metal skills where I felt like it was like there was something holding me back in like my mind body kind of connection. And that's why, I wanted to really go to them. But I mean, there's definitely drummers out there I would love to just take a lesson from and just see what I can pick up from them.
Yes, absolutely. So do you give lessons?
I do occasionally, when somebody asks, then I do. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't offer them. I mean, I don't have a ton of time because I've got a full-time job with Drumeo and I've got 3 bands, and I'm also trying to start up my YouTube channel. I've been doing a lot of like recording and filming, trying to create content. I have TikTok, I got Instagram, all that stuff. So it's tough to do it all. So if somebody wants a lesson, then absolutely I will make time for them.
It sounds kind of like you are doing it all.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I feel very fortunate to not have to worry about, I mean, I was self-employed for a couple of years. I had my own writing agency. I had a bunch of writers who worked with me and that kind of thing, but it's really nice right now. I mean, the fact that I can work remotely, the fact I can work while I'm on tour, that I don't have to worry about, am I going to have enough money to pay my rent when I get home? Because I've got a full-time job and I can go on tour, which is my dream. So I think it's rare to have that. And I'm grateful for it every single day.
That's fantastic. Can you talk to us about the Drumeo gig? How did you land that?
Yeah, so it was at NAMM a couple of years ago, and I met Chad, who is the marketing director. Or I guess he's the CMO now. And we were chatting at the Drumeo booth, and I was saying how I was a drummer and a writer, and he was like, "Man, we could really use. We're trying to put out some more drumming articles and things like that. Would you be interested? And are you taking on new clients?" And I was like, absolutely, it's Drumeo, of course, that would be like my dream client. And so I started doing a little bit of writing for Drumeo, just like as a contractor. And then it was, okay, well, how do we work with you more? We want to do more of this. And I said, well, do you want to hire me? Like, if I can work remotely and I can still tour and stuff like that, I would be happy to just drop my other clients and do this full time. So then it was the following NAMM, and then I met up with Jared, and we talked about it. What would this position look like? Because at that time, they really weren't hiring anybody remotely. No, I don't think they had any full-time remote staff at that time. And so we said, all right, well, let's try this out, see if it works. And I've been there for a couple of years now. And
nice.
Yeah, it's such a dream gig, and the team is amazing. And
so what is it that they have hired you to do? What are you writing for them?
That's what I wanted to know.
Yeah, so my official title is Content Marketing Manager for Drumeo. I'm basically, most of like 95% of what I do is I'm the editor of the Drumeo Beat, and that's our online magazine. So I write articles about drumming, I interview cool drummers, I edit articles that external contributors are submitting, and I basically control the content that goes out on that section of our website. And there's a couple of other things I do, you know, like I'll pitch video ideas sometimes. I've written, you know, helped with a couple of scripts, and there's like some email things I'm working on. There were a couple of other initiatives that we were maybe working on together, but yeah, that's basically my job, is basically writing about drums and interviewing famous drummers. Perfect. And Dorothea was somebody who we featured, which was lovely.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well deserved, Dorothea. Thank you. I said that was well deserved for Dorothea.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, definitely. And she's one of our coaches, and it's amazing.
Yes,
and
that's so awesome. How has that been going? Having the coaches, that's kind of a new aspect for you guys.
We love it, and the students love it. That seems to be one of the main things people point out when are you a student? Are you
yes, pretty
yeah.
new.
Yeah.
1 month ago I made the Edge membership. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. It's been something a lot of people have been talking about, and they really like it because it's so interactive. It's kind of like having a group lesson. You know, the coaches are doing such a good job of answering as many questions as they can, and the topics are great, and people know when they can expect, like you can put it in your schedule if your favorite coach is going to be doing a lesson, you know, on Tuesdays at 3 or whatever. It's really cool, and I'm kind of surprised that no one else was really doing something like this before, because it makes so much sense. And we've got such a diverse group in terms of people's experiences and specialties and different approaches to drumming. I think there's really something for everybody right now. So much.
Yeah. Drumeo is amazing. I'm so proud of all of you guys. It's awesome.
It's like, I loved it before I was working there, but I love it even more now knowing just how awesome, like everybody on the team is so awesome, and everyone works great together, and like everyone has it's just so fun loving. And, you know, we'll have an annual staff retreat, and we all went, you know, to, I don't know, it's not camping. We stayed in these cabins together and bonfires and all this stuff. Oh yeah. Yeah. You know, Jared's awesome and treats the team like, it's great. Yeah. It's like a dream. I'll get people like trying to recruit me on LinkedIn for other jobs. And I'm like, what? No, I got my dream job. Like,
why would I do that?
I don't think you realize how awesome this job is. Like, exactly. You don't realize.
That's awesome. I'm so happy for you, because that's a perfect fit for you, for your skill set. Yeah. Yeah. And we got to hang out just a little bit when the Drumeo Festival right before the pandemic hit. We were so lucky. We were so lucky that happened. What was it, February? And then when we get home, basically we hear about the pandemic, and we had just been with a couple of thousand people all weekend in this, you know, just tight space. But we were all, from what I heard, we were all safe. I don't remember a bunch of people saying that they got sick from it or whatever.
Yeah, the timing was incredible. I mean,
it really was.
I mean, there's no good time for a pandemic to strike.
Yes, but I'm so thankful that it was after the fact, after NAMM, after the Drumeo Fest, because that was wonderful.
It was, oh man, and I was so disappointed that it wasn't gonna, you know, that we couldn't do it. We couldn't do it this year, you know.
Yeah.
And we have all these things we want to do, and NAMM too. Like I love going to winter NAMM, and that getting canceled, and so
hopefully things will be back to normal pretty soon. I hope. Fingers crossed. We're all so ready.
Seriously, so over it.
Yeah. So does the groups that you're with, do you guys have pretty, I don't know, you can't have hard plans right now for touring, but do you have pretty much plans on the books tentatively for when it's safe to get back out there?
Definitely. Well, at least for the Anti-Queens and Conquer Divide, for sure. There's there's been talk of all these things we want to do. It's just a matter of when when is it safe to book it? And I think that's the hard thing to do. It's how far in advance, even if you book something a year in advance, I mean, there still could be the possibility that something doesn't work out, or people lose money and all this stuff. And everyone's going to also be booking the same venues because everyone's just been, the whole industry's been so
dying
dry.
to go. Right.
Yeah. So
yeah,
that's the hard part. So right now the bands are really focusing on online content and new music. So Conquer Divide has a new music video and single coming out in a couple weeks.
nice.
So that's really that one's exciting. And like I said, the Anti-Queens are writing, so we will go in to record that album, and hopefully we'll have some content we can put out. But in terms of touring, it's like, well, you know, hey, you want to play this festival? Well, yeah, sure, if it happens. Or we'd love to play in Europe, but we don't know. And especially because, you know, trying to cross so many borders, I almost feel like it's more likely that there will be a US tour before maybe a Europe tour, just because there's so many. I mean, the US is a big country, Canada's a big country. You can hit a lot of cities without crossing a border. Whereas if you want to do South America or you want to do Europe, especially Europe, you know, there's a lot of small countries, so you got to cross a lot of borders, and everyone's doing things a bit differently. So I don't know what to expect.
Well, and the lockdown, they're still in major lockdown in Europe, as opposed to US and Canada. We're a lot more open. In fact, here, a lot of the venues are open for bands to start playing. So bands that were playing, you know, 3 times a weekend are now struggling to get booked once a month because everybody's trying to get their band on stage again. So everybody's competing for these few stages that are open. It's a hard as a you know, a professional musician.
I bet. Yeah, definitely. It's just like everyone is rushing to get back on stage or into the studio or whatever, and everyone's booking. I mean, in Quebec, because I live in Quebec now, we're still very locked down. We have a curfew. Bars and restaurants have been closed for over 6 months. We can only do takeout. So, I mean, I've hardly seen anybody. And, you know, I've got friends, even in the west coast of Canada, at least they've, you know, the measures haven't been as strict, but Quebec has been, it's been pretty dead.
Wow. Wow.
So I'm looking forward to everyone getting vaccinated and things, you know.
Yes. So how is that working there? I know that in the US, the vaccines are, since the president has changed over, I guess during that time, vaccinations were like rolled out in mass. And I'm glad for that, because I think a lot of people feel much safer now that they've had their second dose and they're built the immunity. But I don't know how that's working for Canadians. How are you guys doing as far as getting vaccinated?
We are really slow. There's a couple of reasons. I mean, we have a small population compared to the US, but it's just, I think that when they were originally putting out, you know, creating contracts with all these different manufacturers, they didn't know who was gonna develop the vaccine first. So like we kind of put our eggs in a lot of baskets. And so we kind of ended up with just like a couple from here, a couple from here, a couple from here. And I think we were lower down on the list for priority. We had smaller commitments. So now we're just like really trying to get the numbers up. So I heard that there should be a bunch of vaccines rolled out they're really doing a lot of it provincially. So I don't know if it's a lot of that's kind of state mandated in the US, but in Canada, it's like, okay, well, like in Quebec, for example, they're really trying to get everyone their first vaccines before they get the second vaccine. Okay. But they're also, you know, they're still up in like the 70s or 80s, I think, for the age group. And then all the essential workers, those people are all being vaccinated. But I mean, they're hoping that all of us in Quebec anyway will have our first vaccines by July or June. And so we're behind, but
hopefully soon.
It's exactly the same in Europe, exactly the same situation.
What country are you in?
Austria.
Austria, yeah. It's frustrating for sure.
Yeah, Dorothea.
My son lives in Charleston,
mm-hmm.
South Carolina, and he said one of the boys in his office this morning went and got his first shot. He's 28. So
yeah, wow. My daughter did too. My daughter and her fiance got their first ones yesterday. They just walked into a CVS or a Walgreens or something.
It's easy to get them right now.
Yeah.
I heard something about like Canadians flying to Florida or somewhere in the US to try and get theirs, and they're getting in trouble for doing that. It's like, well, yeah, you can't take the vaccines from the locals.
Well, yeah, because they come to Myrtle Beach, because I live in Myrtle Beach where all the tourists are. So they're here and they figure, well, and there's a lot of snowbirds here too until about this time. They come from up north for the winter. So they've been getting in line in front of, us local. So,
yeah, gosh.
That's frustrating.
Yeah, there was a lot of contention going on.
I'm sure. Well, is there anything else that you would like us to know about you and your music?
I don't know. I mean, my music specifically, I don't really think so. I mean, I would love, like, I'm glad to talk about any kind of topics and I tried to put a couple of things in the group where, if anyone wants to talk about like practicing, or I mean, obviously I play heavy music. That's like my thing, touring, balancing work and music, working with dudes, I don't know, industry networking, anything like that. Like that's all stuff I'd love to talk about, but I don't know if there's anything else about me that's particularly exciting. I mean, there was the tour I did last minute was amazing. That was a couple of years, that was 2016.
Okay.
Where I had to learn a set in 5 days. They flew me across the country. We did a month tour. After like a week into that tour, they said, do you want to do a month and a half in Europe with us? Like immediately after this tour, I was like, sure. So we did this Europe tour, and I'd never toured in Europe, and I'd never toured on a tour bus. So that was like my first time doing kind of a bigger thing. And that was really amazing experience. And I mean, I did another tour with a Mexican band. That band was from Brazil. I did a tour with a Mexican band in Eastern Canada after that as well, filling in for them. So I filled in on a couple of tours as a drummer, and
how fun though. I think those kinds of experiences has to stretch you as a musician.
Oh yeah, and I think that's a big thing, and it's been a running theme in actually a lot of interviews that I've done. For Drumeo, we do these features, and where the artist talks about a story from their life, like a meaningful story, or like a milestone, or a lesson they learned, or something like that. And a lot of people have said, a lot of these famous pro drummers have said that if they hadn't said yes to these opportunities, these big scary opportunities, they wouldn't be where they are today. And
exactly.
And saying yes, even if you're not, one is saying yes, even if you feel like you're not ready, but you just need to make sure you're ready. And the other thing is like, be ready so that if you do get the call, that you feel like you can say yes. And for me, it was the same sort of thing where I got a call. Well, I got a Facebook message, and it was a band I already knew and I already liked. And they said, our drummer just quit. We're in Europe. We have a tour in North America in a week. Could you fill in? And even though I was like scared to death, I was like, sure.
Yes.
And I sent them a couple videos of me playing some of their songs. I said, great, you're hired. It's cool. They sent me a plane ticket, and then the rest of the week I barely ate, I barely slept. I had to learn the set. I'm stressing because I'd never done anything like this before. But yeah, that's also my message to people. It's, if you get an opportunity, don't be scared. Even if you feel like I'm a huge self-doubter. Oh my God, I'm self-doubting all the time. I've been trying to change my mindset. It's very difficult, but I'm a big self-doubter. However, it doesn't stop me from saying yes to things. I might be scared. I might be like, oh man, it's going to be dull. You're going to laugh at you. It's going to be embarrassing. You're going to mess up. It's going to be horrible. But I say yes because I don't let that stop me, because I know that's just me in my own head. That's telling me I can't do these things. Because
absolutely.
I've done it in the past. I can do it again. I can figure it out. If it's something I don't know how to do, I'm like, I will figure it out and hope for the best. So
yes, that's my life philosophy. A light bulb moment came on. I guess it was a couple of years ago for you know how people will do New Year's resolutions and that kind of thing. Well, I don't usually do those, but at that time I was like, I'm just going to say yes to any opportunity that comes my way. I mean, if it can grow me as a person, grow me as a musician, even if I have no idea how I'm going to figure it out, I'm just going to say yes, and I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to make myself get to that level. I'm going to rise to that. And so every time somebody would call me from Nashville and say, hey, we've got a gig. I'm going to send you 72 songs. Can you fill in for us? Country songs, 72 country songs. And we don't get to rehearse before we play. We're just going to get on stage, do 2 songs, sound check, and then do a 4-hour concert. And I was like, yes, send it to me and I'll just learn it. And so, you know, I had a couple of weeks and I learned the music, and that was that. But you do stretch so much as an individual when you rise to those occasions, and then it becomes a habit. You'll just say yes to any opportunity that's outside of your comfort zone, because your comfort zone starts to get bigger. Things it's not uncomfortable so much anymore for me to say yes to things, because I know somehow I'm gonna figure that out.
Exactly. I think having the confidence in yourself that you will figure it out and you will learn from it, you know, whether things turn out great or whether there's challenges, that you're going to learn from it no matter what, and just going
it's still going to be okay.
Yeah, you're going to be okay. You know, no one's going to die. No one's going to
right.
So yeah, it's just take the opportunity. If you know this is a good opportunity, and either it's going to be a good test of your skills or whatever, or even if you're like, this is going to be so much fun, even if it's just fun, maybe it's not about you're putting it on your resume, but it's like, this would be so much fun to just do that, because it's just so much enjoyment. People forget that drumming is fun.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
Yeah, but it's okay to say yes, and
I love
and learn
that
as you go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bravo.
Actually, there was something that Sarah Thawer said that I love, and I want her to put this on a shirt because it was just so good, and I think about it all the time. And she said, permission to chill.
Yes.
Give yourself permission to chill.
Yes.
And,
I love that.
I love that so much. And
so
she's full of sound bites and so much wisdom. But
she's got the wisdom to her. I just love Sarah so much. She was my first guest when I decided, I said yes to an opportunity, because I kept thinking, I wish I could see more women being interviewed, women drummers that I really respect. And then I told my husband, why don't I just do it? What am I waiting on? Why don't I just do what I want to see? Why don't I just be what I want to see? So yeah, exactly, that same yes philosophy.
Yeah, for sure. And I think even with what you just said about if there's something that you don't really see, that you should go and be what you want to see. I think that's a good thing for more girls and women to think about too. It's that if you live in a small town and there's no other girl drummers, maybe you should be that girl drummer, you know, or where you're thinking, well, I'm intimidated, I don't know if I want to play the gigs, it's all guys, it's all men, it's all whatever, and to not let that dissuade you. Even if you don't you don't see those people around you, or you don't have those people in your life or in your scene or your community, but that to take the step and be the first one, or be the only one, or whatever it is. And I know that's intimidating, but I mean, I don't, like, none of us are under 30 here. So when any of us were growing up at all different ages, until fairly recently, until like YouTube, I think it was hard to find other female drummers.
Yeah, so much.
And we weren't really being profiled in Modern Drummer. We weren't out there playing the gigs really. And so it's just like, a lot of people had to be the only girl drummer locally or whatever, the only one that they knew about. Now I'm so thankful that it's easier. We've got we've got the Drummergirls group, we've got all these, we've got YouTube, we've got all these places for other girls and women to see that there's more that we're out there, and to hopefully not be afraid to be the only one in their town, because they know that there's thousands of others everywhere. Yeah.
We're creating a sisterhood through this whole thing. And I know for a fact that it is serving such a good purpose, because people will tell me Well, in fact, I'm one of those people. Before I found the 2 or 3 people that I started the group with, I didn't personally know one female drummer, and I was 50. And so then I went to YouTube and I started looking. That's where I found Annika and Emmanuel Caplet and a few other people. And then, so with just a handful of people, I started the group, and now we're at what, 6,500, 99 countries, and it's going to continue to grow. We've grown from 5,000 to 6,500 in just the last year. So I think it's just going to be, we get several new members every day. It's such a wonderful thing. I love to have people finding new people in their community and inviting them, or they'll see somebody in concert and they'll go meet them and they'll invite them to join us. So it's such a cool thing to watch.
Oh, it's awesome. It's amazing. And I hope that we'll keep seeing more people, I think. And more kids too, like realizing
there's a lot of great kids in our group. I mean, like amazing talent.
Mm-hmm. So it's so good. And you hopefully don't have a lot of people discouraging girls from playing drums anymore, you know, as much either. It's like, well, why wouldn't I? Like, why can't I play? Like there's these girls doing it, because you know, you can see us now. Yeah. So I'm excited to see like the next generation of drummers, and you know, and everyone working together. You know, we don't need to compare ourselves with, you know, who's the best girl drummer or whatever. It's like, no, it's just like, if you want to compare drummers, put everyone in the same box. Yeah. It's not best girl drummer, best boy drummer. It's like, well, these are my favorite drummers. I don't care if it's a man or woman or. Yeah,
exactly.
I don't know. Yeah, but
best drummer.
Yeah. I mean, there will always be people comparing drummers. We can't get rid of that. Like, there's always gonna be people like, this person sucks, this person's better, this person's whatever. People will always be ranking them. It's fine. Everyone's got their own personal, you know, favorites.
But it's impossible to do, because how this person plays might be best for that type of music, but how this person, you know what I mean? There's just no best. It's so subjective to what you like.
I love seeing drummers like just whip out something that you never expected them to play, because they only ever really do that in their spare time, or they do it when they practice, but they don't apply it in the groups that they're playing or the albums they play, but they can do something else. And then suddenly you're like, I thought you were a jazz drummer, and they're playing this like rock music, or you see someone who's like a metal drummer and they're playing like this technical I don't know, or they're playing like R&B or something, and you're like, I didn't know you could do that.
I do love that. Yeah.
So you can't judge a drummer by their cover, you know.
Absolutely. Yep. You're so right.
All that.
Could you please, before this is all finished, or when you have a chance, could you go to the chat section and just show us where we can find you? If somebody's watching this on YouTube and they want to be able to follow you on social media, or they want to listen to some of your music, how do they find your links?
Oh yeah. Oh, here's Instagram. Here's Facebook. I'm more active on Instagram right now.
What about where would they buy your music?
Oh, I mean, pretty much anywhere.
iTunes app. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All that stuff, all the typical, iTunes, Apple Music. I don't know what, probably Amazon. I don't actually know if it's on Amazon, but we're on all the platforms. Yeah, we're on all the usual platforms. I can leave some links. I'll have to go and, you know, find them. Sure. I can send them to you to put in the description.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then when I upload it to YouTube, I'll make sure that that's added.
Cool. Yeah. No, I appreciate it for sure. And it's tough, definitely balancing three bands. And I can't always remember all of the URLs.
Sure.
Like, just look up these bands. Here's the band names. Just look up the band. Just Google.
She's good.
Biggs. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Cool.
Well, you guys have been so much fun just to sit and hang out with. And Sam, you're always wonderful. I love hanging out with you. Did you have a question, Danny?
Technical questions.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Double bass. I'm not really a double bass player, but I want to learn it someday. I want to know about your spring tension. Do you have it very tight or very loose?
So I have my pedals kind of on a medium setting. I've tried really tight. I've tried really loose. And for me, the optimal seems to be a kind of a medium spring tension. I also play direct drive pedals. So I don't use chain drive pedals at the moment. So I use the Pearl Demon drives. So if you use chain drive pedals, that medium tension might be a bit different for you because it's a slightly different mechanism. But on my pedals, yeah, I use a medium spring tension. I've got the footboard around, kind of a 45, actually it's probably not 45, but approximately 45-degree angle. The beaters are approximately 45 degrees, away from the surface of the drum head. But I think for me, drum head tension and if there's something in the bass drum also really plays a role in your rebound for double bass, especially if you play faster stuff. So, I mean, I don't play super crazy fast, like 220, 240 BPM double bass. Like some of my friends are just like monsters when it comes to that. But like I got a smaller bass drum. It's a 20-inch bass drum, kind of a quicker rebound. I have it completely stuffed with the sleeping bag. It's completely stuffed with blankets. But it doesn't play like it's dead. Like it's still got a nice rebound, but I also usually play with triggers on my kick. So it helps me get a more, what's that?
That would be my next question, because I saw a couple of videos on YouTube from yours, and you have a very clicky kick sound.
Yes, it's the trigger.
I was wondering if that is trigger sound or if you have special pedals, rubber or something like that. And, yeah, or special beta heads, or yeah.
Yeah, it's a trigger.
Tight.
What's that?
You tune them very tight, the beta head.
It's pretty tight. Yeah. So it just especially with the bass drum full, it doesn't have the air, it doesn't have the room, for the sound to move. So it's definitely a very dead sound, which I like for the style I play. I would never do this for any other genre. I would only do it if you're playing like double bass stuff. If you're even metal where you don't play double bass, I would never stuff the bass drum like this. But it's just to get those really tight articulated patterns. It really helps because it cuts down on how far the air doesn't have anywhere to go. So it's just like a very quick rebound. You can rely a lot on the pedal. You're really letting the pedal play you almost. It's like, I mean, it's just like molar technique in your feet, where you're like this, your first hit maybe is a down hit, and but your second hit kind of comes up with the pedal. So it's kind of like that's probably a bad demonstration, but yeah, I mean, all of those things play a role in double bass, but the main thing more than gear for sure is just like the muscles that you're using. So if you're playing slower double bass, that you're using your full leg, it's the big muscles in your upper leg. And a lot of people talk about, your core is engaged, your abdomen is kind of working as well, bit in your seat. But to really make sure you're using the full leg for the slower stuff. But if you are playing faster double bass, you start moving to more of an ankle motion, and it's, more efficient motion. But all of those things are important. So if you do start playing double bass, spring tension, definitely one of those things. But also paying attention to your bass drum head tension, what's in the bass drum, the angle of your footboard, the distance of your beater from the head surface. All of those things can make it easier for you where you're learning. But it's still you still play.
Do you use special heads? The beta head is a special one?
Nothing special. I like heads that have. I usually like a 2-ply head. But with what do they call them? Like the pads, like the stickers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm playing lots of double bass. I'm kicking hard and stuff like that. So yeah, I usually use a 2-ply head with some sort of muffling built into it, like some sort of ring, some sort of foam on it. I'm trying to remember. I think I have an EMAD 2 on my bass drum right now. I can't remember. But it's got like a built-in kind of foam ring around it. Yeah.
Sure.
So yeah. I'd say go a bit thicker. And just a lot of, it's really hard to play double bass when you've got like an empty bass drum, like a big ringy, boomy bass drum. It feels harder to play it after a certain speed. So it depends how fast you're playing. If you're playing really slow, just doing some, you're just practicing, it's fine. But I think if you're trying to build up a bit faster, you're doing patterns on your feet, things like that, it's just, it gets a bit easier to get the rebound. You can play a bit more relaxed when you do muffle the bass drum more.
Nice. Okay. Good information. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
That's awesome. All right, you guys, I'm gonna say goodbye, and I'm so thankful, Sam, that you decided to do this with me. I so much appreciate it, and I'm so glad that everybody's gonna get to meet you and learn your story and know a little bit more about you, and especially to follow you on social media.
Thank you so much. It's amazing. I love Drummer Girls United. Tammy's the best. Everyone who's here today as well, thank you so much for being around and taking time out of your day to be part of the conversation. And yeah, if anyone wants to chat later, send me a message. I love talking drums, obviously. So if you have any questions later, or you want to talk about something, run something by me, or whatever, yeah, I'm here.
That's awesome. Sam's awesome. If you guys ever get a chance to meet her in person, please grab her, because she's awesome. She's just such a fun person to hang out with. So hopefully we'll get to do it next year. I hope everything will be back open and we get to hang out again.
Let's hope.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You take care, and we'll talk soon.
Okay, perfect.
All right. Bye, you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us.